Millionaire, stunned to discover a black maid's daughter playing chess in the yard. Alexander sat back on his leather chair, the morning sun spilling over the edge of his sprawling balcony. The mansion stretched behind him like a fortress of quiet power, marble floors gleaming, gold accents catching the light. His fingers tapped the rim of his fine china cup, coffee rich and hot. It should have been another perfect morning, smooth and predictable. But then, there she was, a little girl, alone on the lawn. She was tiny, maybe 8 or 9 years old, tucked under the dappled shade of an old oak tree. The sun painted patches of light across her face, flickering like a restless flame. Her brow was scrunched deep in concentration. Her eyes never left the chessboard set before her. Every move she made was careful, deliberate, as if she was fighting invisible battles within the silent game. Alexander's breath hitched. The girl wore a simple, worn dress, plain white with small flowers, soaked in sun and dirt. Not a hint of luxury. She looked nothing like anyone who usually belonged on his estate. Yet there she was, the black daughter of the maid, her dark skin glowing in the sun like polished wood. Just moments ago, he had heard her name whispered from the kitchen downstairs. Lila. It rolled oddly in his mouth. Lila. There was something different about her. Something magnetic. His heart pounded sharp and fast. Why was she playing chess here, alone? In the yard where only the staff's children usually played? Usually, the house bustled with servants washing, cleaning, talking quietly. Not this. Not Lila, who seemed lost to the world, locked in a steel cage of thought. The wind stirred, brushing past the trees, and carried with it a sudden shiver, a warning he tried to ignore. Keep your hands clean, his mind snapped. Don't get involved. She's just a maid's child. This is not your world. But the pull was too strong. He rose slowly, tension tightening his chest, and moved toward the lawn, every step heavy with doubt. The silence stretched, broken only by the faint clatter of chess pieces clicking against the board. Outside, the estate shone with all its wealth, proud and untouched. Then, a shout screamed from the driveway. "Mr. Alexander, you've got to come quick!" The voice was ragged, panicked. A neighbor bursting through the heavy iron gate, eyes wide with terror. "They're gone. The necklace. Someone took it inside. I swear." Alexander's head whipped back toward Lila. Her eyes met his. No longer just a child playing quietly. There was a sharp glimmer in her gaze, a secret flickering in the depths, the kind that doesn't belong to innocence. What did she know? What was she hiding? The chessboard lay between them, the battlefield of kings and pawns, and now, suddenly, it felt like the key to a greater game. A game where his fortune, his reputation, and everything he owned might crash down like a house of cards. Lila's lips pressed tight. Her gaze never wavered, and just like that, the quiet morning shattered, leaving Alexander frozen, wondering if the simple girl in the yard held the answers or the danger he never saw coming. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their... I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And while you're there, drop a powerful like. It really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know each incredible person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Alexander's pulse thrummed in his ears, the world tilting on its axis. Fear crackled in the air, pressing down like a heavy blanket as he stood frozen. The panic-stricken voice from the driveway fading against the backdrop of Lila's unwavering gaze. The sunlight glinted off the chess pieces, their sharp edges glinting ominously, mirroring the chaos brewing just beyond the gates. "Mr. Alexander," the neighbor yelled again, urgency plastered across his ashen face. "You've got to come." But Alexander's attention was anchored to Lila. Suddenly, the innocent girl with the chessboard dissolved before his eyes. Her lips parted, revealing a slight smirk that sent chills racing down his spine. Then, in a swift motion, she scooped up the pieces, fingers dancing across the board like a conductor wielding a baton. Each piece clicked ominously, a sound that propelled Alexander back on his heels. What was she doing? Was this some kind of game? The air turned heavy, suffocating, as if it were charging with electricity, a storm looming just overhead. "Mr. Alexander!" The neighbor's voice cut through the tension. "Your necklace! It's worth millions!" "You can't just..." But Lila raised a finger to her lips, silencing the cacophony around them. Her eyes, fierce and ancient, bore into his with an intensity that left him breathless. "You need to know something," she whispered, her voice low and steady, unperturbed by the chaos. Before he could respond, she flipped the last chess piece over, revealing a tiny compartment carved into the underside. His heart lurched. Inside, nestled like a sinister secret, lay a photograph, faded, creased, but unmistakably clear. He squinted, fear clawing at his rational mind as the winds whipped around them. The photograph showed him, Alexander, as a child, standing beside a woman he barely recognized, wearing a dress similar to Lila's. A woman with dark skin, laughter in her eyes. "No," he breathed, the ground shifting beneath him. "What is this?" "This is why you can't ignore me," Lila said, her voice like steel. "You see, I am not just a maid's daughter. I am your daughter." The air thickened, electric with disbelief. His mind raced, past experiences unfurling into a dizzying spiral of confusion. Had they known? His own family, hidden truths spiraling into the daylight, splintering his privileged world. "That's impossible," he stammered, a bitter taste rising in his throat. I don't have a child." "You do," she said, unwavering. The chess pieces lay abandoned. A testament to a battle half won, and they kept it hidden for you. They didn't want you to go looking, to ruin your perfect life. But we share the same blood. His breaths came short and desperate. The world surged around him, the panic from the neighbor merging with the realization of what had just been thrust upon him. The world outside the estate had begun spinning again. The noise of the bustling household rising to a fever pitch. "Your necklace? It's in a place where you'd never think to look," Lila continued, her tone shifting now. A warning laced with dark humor. Perhaps you should ask the people you trust. As the words hung like stones in the air, Alexander felt the ground give way beneath him, past and present colliding. His carefully constructed landscape of wealth and power now felt like quicksand, and in that moment, he understood. It was not just a game of chess, it was everything he had built collapsing. The glimmer in Lila's eyes held more than secrets. It threatened to reveal a hidden war that had been fought for years beneath the varnished surface of his life. "Where is it?" he managed to spit out, the air thick with tension, a storm coming. But Lila simply stood, the unyielding daughter of a maid, a daughter he never knew he had. And as the winds picked up, carrying whispers of betrayal with them, he realized he was standing at the precipice of everything he had never understood. What lay ahead held answers he never wanted. Alexander's heartbeat thundered in his ears, drowning out the world. Lila's words clung to the air, electric and suffocating. "I am your daughter." The declaration buzzed like a swarm of wasps, swirling around him, pulsing with the promise of chaos. He could hardly breathe, his mind racing to grasp the implications, skidding in confusion. It was impossible. It was absurd. Yet the truth shimmered in Lila's eyes, fierce and haunting. He felt reality shifting beneath him like sand on a turbulent shore, unstable and dangerous. "Get away from me." The words slipped past his lips, a whisper rooted in fear. He took a step back, reeling, trying to shake the truth loose from his thoughts. In that moment of denial, the wind howled through the trees, as if sensing the dark revelation. It rattled the windows of the mansion and tugged at the loose pages of an unfinished newspaper on the balcony table, his gaze darting to the chaos outside. The frantic neighbor persisted in shouting, but the world quieted around Alexander. Intention now split between hearing Lila's confession and the encroaching storm brewing beyond the estate walls. Then, out of nowhere, an explosion. A violent crash echoed from within the mansion, splintering the tense moment. Glass shattered, followed by shouts and screams, rising like a chorus of sirens. What the hell was that? Alexander's mind snapped into focus, adrenaline coursing through him, clearing away the fog of confusion. He turned toward the house, the facade of his well-organized life crumbling as a whirlwind of concern and dread set in. Lila, her expression morphing from fierce resolve to raw alertness, transformed before his eyes. Without a word, she dashed past him toward the pandemonium erupting in the mansion. Alexander hesitated, torn between facing the child he had never known and the terror inside. Instinct pulled him along. He followed Lila into the maw of chaos. Inside, the air thickened with smoke. Flickering flames began to lick the edges of the grand staircase, casting ghostly shadows on the walls. Servants scrambled in a frenzy, shouting for help, but their voices drowned in the rise of panic. The neighbor, now wide-eyed with horror, pointed frantically. The study's on fire!" Is everyone okay? Alexander shouted, panic clawing at his throat. But no one seemed to hear him. The chaos became a symphony of fear, each note more unsettling than the last. Lila's small frame darted through the frantic mass of bodies, determination on her face, urging him forward. He followed her, heart hammering, until they reached the study. The fire raged, consuming personal histories, expensive books, family heirlooms, all the symbols of his carefully constructed identity. The thick black smoke spiraled toward the high ceilings, and in the disarray, something caught Alexander's eye. On the ground, partially concealed beneath fallen debris, a silver object glinted. His instincts kicked in. "Lila, stay back!" He lunged forward, slipping dangerously as he neared the flames. But as he reached for the silver object, a locket, his fingers brushed against something surprisingly cold. A hidden compartment opened beneath it, revealing not just the locket, but a carefully folded note. His breath caught. In an instant, Lila's voice cut through the chaos. "Don't!" she shouted, her urgency echoing through the smoke. But it was too late. He had the note in his grip, and with a single shaking breath, he unfolded it. His world spun as he read the message, the scrawl etching itself into his memory forever. "Your real father." The words bled into one another, but the meaning hit him with the force of a trunk slamming closed. Not just a maid's child. His mind reeled. The locket fell from his fingers, crashing to the ground. This wasn't just about him and Lila. Everything he thought he knew shattered. The walls of his existence echoing the flames that now defined it. As Lila's terrified gaze met his, a knowing glint flickered. There was more at stake, more than either of them realized. "Ooh, who am I?" he stammered, the question barely forming before another explosion rocked the room, scattering ashes and fears into a swirling tempest. And as the flames climbed higher, it became clear. The truth was no longer hidden by walls. Far from a game of chess, it was a furious scramble for survival. And Lila wasn't the only one holding secrets that could ignite the whole world around him. Alexander's heart raced, panic clawing at his insides. Who am I?" The question escaped his lips, trembling with the weight of dread. The smoke grew thicker, wrapping around him like a vice, and the flames roared, eager for more devastation. Lila's eyes flickered with a mix of fear and a sharp knowledge that cut through the chaos. Then, without warning, another explosion ripped through the study, sending a wave of heat that knocked him off his feet. He landed hard against the floor, the air knocked from his lungs, as debris rained down like shattered dreams. Lila was thrown back. "Lila!" He struggled to his feet, adrenaline firing his senses. But before he could reach for her, a hidden doorway behind the grand bookshelves erupted open, swinging wide like the gaping maw of a beast. From within the darkness, a figure emerged, cloaked in smoke, his face obscured. "So this is where it all comes to light," the figure rasped, voice low and menacing. Alexander squinted, recognition clawing at the edges of his memory. "Who are you?" The question burned at the back of his throat, urgent yet scared. Someone's been quite busy. He stepped forward, revealing a face Alexander thought he'd buried deep within his past. "You didn't think we'd let you live your lie forever, did you?" The room fell silent, even the distant crackle of the flames muted by the sheer shock of that voice. The man's eyes gleamed with malice. "Your brother, he set the fire. He wanted everything destroyed before you could learn the truth." "Brother?" The word echoed in the ash-strewn room, a phantom haunting the edges of his reality. The truth slammed into him like a tidal wave. "But he's dead," the figure interrupted, a cruel smile twisting his lips. "Officially. But what's a little fake death when there's a family fortune at stake?" Lila, still on the floor, pushed herself up, the shock illuminating her face like the flickering flames around them. "He's lying, Mr. Alexander. It can't be true." But her voice quivered, uncertainty creeping in. The man took a step closer, every move deliberate and devastating. "Your cherished family secrets are just the beginning. You think you're the only one with blood ties? Your dear Lila is pivotal to his plans. She is the key." A scream caught in Alexander's throat. "What plans?" "Plans to take the estate back. Plans to bring your world crashing down. But don't worry, it shows you well for a game, after all." Lila's face drained of color, understanding dawning as she struggled to rise. "I'm not part of this. Get away from him." But the hidden man grinned, the darkness curling around him like a shroud. "Too late. You're already woven into a family drama that would make even the greatest stories pale. Aren't you eager to learn who you truly are?" Torn between the figure and Lila, he stammered. "Tell me, what do you know?" "Everything," he snarled, leaning in, voice a whisper that trembled with icy glee. "Your niece is the fire starter of this family, our family, and her role is crucial to reclaiming what was always meant to be mine." The words hit him like a punch, the implications, the horrifying truth racing through his mind, folding his reality within itself. Did he dare to uncover the next piece of this tangled web? Or was uncovering the truth a dangerous plunge into madness that would consume them all? Before he could form another question, the walls trembled. The house, alive with flames, seemed to hum a warning, and the echoes of a past he thought he had escaped vibrated in his ears. The sinister smile on the shadowy figure's lips widened, curling deeper than he anticipated. "Let the games begin, dear brother." And in that moment, as the fire raged, Alexander knew they weren't just battling flames. They were engaged in a game that had stakes higher than they could have ever imagined. One that could bring all of their secrets crashing down in the blaze. The flames licked the walls, devouring everything Alexander had ever cherished. Panic twisted through his veins. Every heartbeat echoed with the weight of looming disaster. "Let the games begin, dear brother." The words slithered through the smoke, chilling him to the core. As the figure sneered, the shadows around him seemed to pulse and breathe. Alexander fought against the urge to flee, to escape the malevolence of the man who claimed to be his brother. "This isn't over," he spat, desperation clawing at his throat. He turned toward Lila, whose wide eyes held a mix of terror and an unyielding resolve. But before he could grab her hand, the figure tilted his head slightly, an unsettling glint of "Oh, but it is, dear brother. Did you really think it was just about you? Or the necklace? You're just a pawn in a much larger game." He stepped forward, his gait smooth and unhurried amid the chaos. "The truth," he continued, voice dripping with malice, "is that we are not who we think we are." The shadows stirred ominously as the flames danced, flickering unpredictably. Alexander's heart pounded in response. "What do you mean? Get out!" Lila screamed, her voice piercing through the suffocating smoke as she scrambled to her feet, fear shimmering in her normally fierce eyes. "We need to leave." But the figure pressed on, urgency slipping through his words like shards of glass. "You think you know the truth about our family? That I'm the villain?" He laughed, a sound that twisted in Alexander's gut. "No, I'm here to free you from the shackles of your ignorant bliss." The walls creaked, the structure groaning under the mounting heat. Just then, a crack split the air above their heads, and a section of the ceiling began to crumble, dust and debris raining down around them. Lila grabbed Alexander's arm, pulling him toward the nearest exit, but he couldn't tear his gaze from his brother. Every tragedy, every secret betrayal, this is merely the beginning. The figure's voice boomed, reverberating within the flickering shadows. "You are tied to something bigger than either of us, the family legacy far older and darker than you can imagine." And that's when it happened. Without warning, the floor beneath them erupted, a violent rupture opening up, as if the very earth wanted to swallow the dark truths hanging in the air. With a deafening roar, the smoke shifted outward, and in the chaos, an outline emerged. A hidden door, swung open with a vengeance, revealing a passage that glimmered beyond the flames. "Run!" Lila's voice broke through the clamor, a spark of instinct, driving her forward. She surged ahead, dragging Alexander along with her, but he stole one last glance at the figure. A shadow moved, shifting slightly, as he vanished behind the cloak of smoke. Before they could sprint across the threshold, the figure shouted something that sliced through the noise and grabbed Alexander's attention. "They'll come for you. You are the key to their return. You won't escape your fate." Those words echoed in his mind as they dashed down the newly revealed passage, the distant crackles of flame continually urging them onward. Shadows danced threateningly along the stone walls, and with each step, uncertainty gnawed at Alexander. What did he mean? What family legacy? And then, amidst the rushing panic, something cold settled over him. A chilling revelation that twisted at his core. As they fled, Lila glanced back, concern etched on her face. What did he mean by that? What does he know? Just ahead, the passage narrowed, the smoky air muting the intensity of their breaths. The flickering light revealed a small alcove with a stone pedestal at its heart. Alexander's instincts screamed. Something vital lay there. But as they approached, The tremors of the mansion shook harder, the confines of the space groaning in protest. In that moment, the pedestal shifted, revealing a small, tarnished keyhole nestled within the stone, gleaming, just as the last embers of hope trembled like a flickering candle. The walls around them shook violently, bodies dictated by instinct and fear as they stumbled closer together. The key was out there, somewhere hidden from view, ensnared in a conspiracy of blood and betrayal. A sense of dread coiled around him, binding his thoughts. What did he not know? The answer waited somewhere in the flames, hidden behind the wreckage of his past. Fastening her gaze upon him, Lila grasped his shoulder. "Alexander, something is coming." And in that moment of impending peril, the flames roared behind them as histories clashed and destinies intertwined. As the walls trembled and the air grew thick with smoke, Alexander felt the floor shifting beneath him. The sound of flames crackling, like 1,000 whispers echoing secrets, intensified the urgency in his chest. Lila's grip tightened on his shoulder, her eyes wide with fear. The uncertainty of their escape sacrificed to the dark urgency demanding their attention. "Listen to me," she urged, her voice rising above the roar of the inferno. "We have to keep moving. If we don't find a way out..." A shudder rippled through the ground as another blast rattled the structure, dust clouds swirling like forked tongues of flame. Lila yanked him onward, her instincts sharper than his, yet he hesitated, glancing at the pedestal that beckoned them with an eerie light. Moments hung like eternity, the weight of the moment coiling dread within him. Suddenly, the air shifted, a cold gust blowing in from the passage, disrupting the heat. In that instant, something crashed behind them. A portion of the wall collapsed, sending a cascade of debris across their path. The entrance was rapidly closing, a barrier rising up against them like some vengeful spirit. "Now, Alexander!" Lila shouted, a pulse of urgency crackling in her tone. She propelled him forward just as another thunderous bang echoed through the structure. The flames leaped higher, tugging at their heels like hungry ghosts. Then came the revelation, swift and brutal. A figure emerged from the smoke, silhouetted against the flames. Another man, tall and imposing. "You really expect to escape your fate?" he taunted, eyes gleaming, voice dripping with malice. How naive. Alexander felt time stop, the world narrowing to the man who stood before him. "Who are you?" he rasped, every syllable staining his throat with fear. The figure stepped forward, revealing a face eerily familiar, one that rattled something deep in Alexander's memory. "Did you really think everything would remain hidden forever?" The man's lips curled into a smirk, a twisted reflection of Alexander's own. Graham. The name echoed in the cavernous study, shock coursing through him like ice. His brother, supposedly dead, now loomed with a power he could scarcely comprehend. The truth shattered the floor beneath him, and the weight of everything he once knew splintered into chaos. "No," Lila gasped, surveying the reality crashing in on them. He can't be alive. Whoa. Oh, I'm alive, darling sister, Graham laughed, a sound tinged with madness. I've been waiting for this moment, the moment you both connect the dots. You have no idea what awaits you. The revelation jerked painfully in Alexander's gut as Graham's words sank deep. This is a family legacy, and it's time for you to understand your part in it. He pointed fiercely. The locket, Alexander. My dear brother, it's not just a token. What do you mean? Alexander demanded, rage and confusion swirling through him like a tempest. But Graham ignored him, continuing with feverish intensity. Did you really believe your perfect life could remain untouched? Your mother, our mother, she forged her own destiny through blood. And that blood is what makes us powerful. The flames crackled louder, the house at war with itself. Lila's expression turned from fear to something sharper. You're lying, she said, voice trembling. This can't be true. But Graham grinned at her, a predatory smile that revealed a dark underbelly of the past. Oh, but it is. You were both pawns in this game, the keys to unlocking a legacy rooted in betrayal and corruption. He stepped closer, the shadows swirling with his presence. Your mother was never just a maid, Lila. She was part of a much darker plan. The weight of his words settled like lead in the pits of their stomachs, an ominous thunder rumbling in the distance. The walls of the room felt as if they were closing in. The fire, now a monstrous growl against the truth glaring before them. Without solution, without refuge, Alexander felt the shattering of his existence draw closer. The undeniable proof that everything he believed was a thin veneer over a history steeped in darkness. Run! He suddenly cried, desperation tearing through him like an animal backing into a corner. But as they turned to flee, the floor gave way to a void, forcing them downward, into the churning chaos, deeper into a legacy lost to flames and truths. The last thing Alexander saw was Graham's cruel smile echoing in the air, the darkness below whispering all the betrayals they had yet to uncover. The ground bucked beneath them like a wild beast, plunging Alexander and Lila into darkness. The disintegrating floor. He felt her small hand in his, a fragile tether amidst chaos. Hold on, he shouted, though he couldn't say if she heard him over the roar of impending catastrophe. And then, silence. A heavy, suffocating silence enveloped them. They landed on solid ground, not on a hardwood floor, but in a damp, cold cellar, the air stale and oppressive. Dust hung in the air, swirling in a faint beam of light that filtered through a cracked window. The depth of their descent left them disoriented, gasping for clarity in the dimness, heartbeats echoing against the suffocating walls. "Are you hurt?" he asked, scanning Lila's face for signs of injury, but finding only a deep-seated determination. I'm okay," she breathed, though her voice shook. Together, they rose unsteadily, blinking against the shadows. What just happened? But before he could respond, a low rumble filled the darkness, vibrating through the ground. Dust cascaded from above, signaling the structure was still collapsing. They had no time to ponder their escape. Suddenly, the shadows shifted. A figure emerged from the depths, moving against the grain of darkness, like someone stepping into light from behind a curtain. He recognized the silhouette. Broad shoulders, familiar stance. It was Graham. "Welcome home, brothers and sister," he drawled, his tone slick with mockery. "Why are you here?" Lila demanded, her bravery flaring, even as uncertainty flickered in her eyes. "You're supposed to be dead." "Alive and well," he said, stepping closer, confidence radiating from him like heat. But amidst the tension, it was the glint in his eyes that caught Alexander's attention. Something unsettling, a layer deeper than arrogance. The tension crackled between them, a taut wire ready to snap. "What do you want?" Alexander barked, fists clenched. The stench of smoke still lingered in the air, mingling with the palpable dread. Graham's smile widened, revealing something almost deranged. "You've always wanted to know the truth. Let me grant you your wish." He produced a small silver locket from his pocket, the same one they'd seen earlier. "I believe this holds the key to everything." Before Alexander could speak, Graham flicked it open, revealing not a photo, but a neatly folded piece of parchment that had been hidden inside. "It's all here, brother," he taunted, his voice a low, mocking symphony. He began to read aloud, the words slicing through the thick air like shards of glass. "To whom it may concern, my son was born of a union, not of love, but of greed and ambition. His lineage flows with the blood of a legacy, hidden away like a precious jewel, nurturing flames that would one day consume us all." "What?" Alexander shot back, bewilderment gripping him. "What are you saying?" Graham leaned in closer, eyes gleaming with a fevered light. "Did you think you were just some entitled millionaire? You're part of something vast and monstrous, something that will destroy everything you hold dear." And then, in a chilling twist, he pointed a finger at Lila, a mocking glint in his eyes. "But you should know, she's not just the maid's daughter. She's the other piece of this puzzle, a true heir to a fortune that was never meant for you." "Lila, what does he mean?" Alexander's mind spun, the words reverberated in his throbbing head. Each revelation, unraveling everything he believed to be true. But Lila stepped back, the color draining from her face. "What? No, that can't be true." Yet Graham pressed on, a predator reveling in his praised despair. "Oh, but it is. She's more than just offspring of a maid. She's your sister's child. Your half-sister, Alexander. Born from the very chaos that was meant to bind us, a living testament to our mother's betrayal." The cellar seemed to shrink, air becoming poisonous, as the shock reverberated within Alexander's bones. Betrayed by blood, unraveling threads of trust. The world around him burned, flames visible now as the far wall began to catch fire. "Run!" he screamed, but time was suspended in disbelief. In that moment, the weight of their intertwining destinies crashed down like an avalanche. A family legacy built on murky bloodlines and hidden truths, entwining them in ways they had never imagined. And beyond the encroaching flames, the true battle had just begun. The flames hissed, spitting embers into the air like angry fireflies, as Alexander stood frozen, grappling with the monstrous truths running wild around him. His heart thundered in tandem with the inferno, licking at the "What is happening?" she wheezed, panic threading through her words. Graham stepped closer, the shadows dancing around him like loyal wolves. "You should be grateful, brother. The truth is a gift. Or did you truly prefer your comfortable lies?" His smile twisted, manic energy rippling from him. "You're so much more than just a wealthy man." With a screech of metal, the iron door behind them buckled inwards, and a rush of thick smoke surged, swallowing the last of the light. "We have to go!" Lila's voice sliced through the chaos, urgency igniting a fire within Alexander. But Graham moved with a deliberate calmness, almost detached from the chaos. "Let them burn, brother. The past is ash anyway. What matters is this moment, a rebirth into a world less benign than you know." "Stop talking," Alexander shouted, fear gripping him as the heat intensified around them, suffocating and oppressive. They had to escape, not just the flames, but the wreckage of words threatening to tear them apart. "We'll figure it out, together." But before he could turn to Lila, a loud crack echoed through the darkness. The flooring buckled beneath them, a rumble underfoot as if the earth grew restless. The wall erupted, stone and dust spilling into the air like a whirlwind. Out of the pale, dusty haze emerged yet another figure, a woman clad in tattered black, face obscured, but unmistakably familiar. "Stop!" she shouted, fierce and resolute, a force of nature against the chaos. As she stepped into the flickering light, Alexander's heart dropped. "Mother?" he breathed, disbelief crashing over him like cold water. "How?" "Yes, my son!" her voice thundered, weaving through the madness. "I've been hiding in the shadows, watching as the family I tried to protect crumbled from the inside." "What?" Lila blinked in shock, disbelief painted on her features. "You? But you?" "No time for explanations," she cried, urgency returning. "We need to escape. This place will burn, and everything you hold dear will become nothing but smoke." "Why did you leave?" Graham's voice was soaked in bitterness, eyes narrowing as he glared at her. "Why come back now?" "Because I didn't abandon you, Graham," she shouted, each word a bullet. "I was running from your father's lies, from the darkness that enveloped this family. I had to protect you." In that breathless moment, everything turned. The flames wreathed closer, devouring shadows and light alike, suffocating secrets. "Father?" Alexander's voice wavered, shock spiraling through him. "What secrets? What darkness?" "It's about the ancients," she gasped, desperate, urgency brimming. "The bloodline, our inheritance. Secrecy was meant to shield you both, but it's time." She gestured to Lila, the truth about to crash down like stone. "You were hiding something important, Lila." Emotion twisted through Alexander's words. "And I should have realized. What more do we not know?" "It's not just that she's family," Graham interjected, snatching the locket from the ground, holding it high. "This is all part of a darker game. You're connected to powers that shape the world, a family bound by bloodlines older than you can fathom. Suddenly, a deafening crack echoed through the chamber, and the ceiling began to crumble. Dust cascading as shadows laughed through the flames. With every ounce of instinct, Alexander lunged toward Lila and his mother, the truth burning hot beneath their skin, a desperate knot unraveling before them. But there was a moment, suspended in smoke and fear, as the walls trembled around them. "You have to choose," his mother said, fierce determination lighting her eyes. "Who will you trust?" Chaos swirled as they faced each other. The weight of legacy, betrayal, and hidden pasts crashing down upon them in a tumultuous storm of flames, as the ground trembled beneath their feet, ready to engulf everything. The choice loomed before them, a chasm waiting to be bridged, and within the flames, a darkness whispered promises of destruction and power, whispering in their ears. And then, everything shattered as the world around them split open, revealing a path veiled in secrets. "Choose wisely," the shadows seemed to taunt. In that heart-stopping moment, just on the edge of darkness, a truth beyond comprehension awaited, their fates teetering on the cusp of an irrevocable transformation. The ground shook violently, reverberating beneath the weight of uncertainty. Flames hungrily danced closer. Then, everything unraveled. In the swirling dust, a hidden door crashed open, and from it poured forth a whirl of smoke. As the brightness of the flames flickered ominously, a figure emerged from the haze, a woman cloaked in black, her face obscured by shadows. "It's time," she whispered, her voice silky and sinister, sending chills racing down Alexander's spine. "Who are you?" he rasped, scanning her face for familiarity. But there was nothing. The air thickened with uncertainty, foreboding. "I'm the one who orchestrated this," she said, voice laced with power, each word falling like a weighty stone. "I brought you here, Alexander, so you could see the truth." "Truth?" Lila's breath quickened, her eyes darting between them. "What truth?" The figure stepped forward, dragging the shadows with her, as if cutting the fabric of reality itself. "You think you're just a pawn in a family game? No, you are its centerpiece." She pointed at Alexander, then at Lila, a heartbeat of tension stretching between them. Together you both wield power beyond comprehension. Suddenly, Graham, still lurking, took a menacing step forward, revealing a wild look in his eyes. "What are you talking about?" he spat. "You're just a ghost from the past." "Oh, Graham," she laughed, a haunting sound echoing off the stone walls. "You've always underestimated me. I'm your mother, not hers." Time itself seemed to freeze at her proclamation. "What?" Alexander gasped, heart hammering against his ribs. "No, this can't be." "Look closely," the woman urged, lifting her face into the light, revealing striking features he recognized all too well. "I am the reason for your lineage's legacy. A legacy entwined with shadows and power, built on blood and secrets, spilling from sorcery both ancient and dangerous." Shock cascaded through the room, like a tidal wave. You? Lila stepped toward her, a deep frown creasing her brow. You're our mother? But I had to hide, she continued, eyes fierce, infused with something divine, to protect you from those seeking to use you for darker purposes. The truth of the legacy isn't just about wealth. It's a path of magic and resurrection. You both are the key. Together, you will unlock a world chained by secrets. Reality warped as Alexander took a step back, reeling from the revelations, crashing over him like the flames outside. You deceived us! He turned from her gaze, fury mingling with disbelief. You betrayed us. That's not true, she countered, desperation rising in her voice. I saved you from the ones who would use you as pawns in their game. Your father wanted to destroy everything for the sake of control. Each word radiated urgency, the room sweltering with emotion and flames alike. The flames roared harder, hungry and relentless, the pulse of fear clawing up Alexander's spine. What kind of power are we talking about? What does it mean to be the key? A dramatic pause enveloped them, silence wrapping around the truth like a suffocating blanket. And just as the tension reached its peak, Graham hissed, "You can't trust her, Alexandra. She's manipulating you." In that moment, the world splintered. The truth gleamed brighter as a thought crystallized in Alexander's mind. A fear gripping his heart. What if this is all a trap? What if she's playing us against each other? But the woman's fierce gaze bore down upon them, unwavering. You think familiarity breeds comfort? You were never meant to choose this path, but now it's your birthright. And those who betrayed us will stop at nothing. What's the plan? Lila interjected, voice tinged with desperation, but surprisingly resolute. The chaos surged around them, but there was clarity. A glint of something larger taking shape amidst the confusion. Before anyone could answer, the structure burst with tinderbox ferocity. The wall crumbling, flames licking hungrily closer, igniting shadows around them. Alexander's heart raced as the hidden truth crackled amidst the flames. Unknown dangers pushed them dangerously toward the precipice. And there it was. The key to everything lay somewhere within the inferno. Their ancestry entwined with power greater than any of them could fathom. As the air shimmered with impending chaos, the last vestiges of hope grasped desperately at the light amidst the darkness. Will you trust me? Their mother's voice broke through, an unsteady flame flickering against the storm. Would they dare? The flames roared, fierce and wild, surrounding them with chaos. Alexander's heart pounded as the heat pressed around them. Will you trust me? His mother repeated, urgency lacing her voice. Lila looked at Alexander, her expression caught between fear and determination. You know we have to try. Shh. Time is running out, their mother shouted. With a nod, Alexander took Lila's hand tightly. They both turned to their mother, the woman who had haunted their lives, uncertainty flickering in their chests. Okay, Alexander finally said, a wave of resolve washing over him. Let's find the truth. Together, they charged toward the figure cloaked in shadows. They stumbled through the flames, the heat searing their skin. But they pushed on, driven by an unseen force. Their mother led the way, guiding them to a hidden door buried behind a wall of fire. "The key," she urged, breathless. "It's inside." As she reached for the door, the flames surged, but there it was, a glimmering keyhole. With fleeting hope clinging to him, Alexander pulled a small key from his pocket, the one he had kept since childhood, a memento that had always felt out of place. It seemed to glow now as he placed it into the lock. The door opened with a creak, revealing a hidden room. Inside, they found more than answers. They discovered the remnants of a past weighed down by secrets. Ancient artifacts, pulsating with magic. Diaries filled with the history of their family. The room was full of knowledge, waiting to be unraveled. "This," Lila breathed, stepping deeper into the room. "It's incredible." But Graham's shadow loomed still, a dark threat against their newfound hope. "You think you can change the past?" he shouted, stepping toward them, rage burning in his eyes. "You're too late!" "Enough!" their mother cried, standing strong. "The legacy ends today." With a fierce resolve, Alexander and Lila joined their mother, fists clenched, ready to face whatever darkness Graham held. As the fire danced around them, a light flickered from the artifacts, illuminating their faces with a glow of hope. They knew they had the power to turn this around. "Together," Alexander said, taking Lila's hand once more. "This is our moment." In a flash, they combined their strength. The artifacts responded, shining brighter, weaving an energy that surged through them, pushing back the flames, forcing Graham into retreat. The darkness faded, the oppressive weight lifted, until only ashes remained. Graham stumbled back, eyes wide with shock. "You think you've won? This isn't over." But instead of fear, Alexander felt freedom. "This is where we break the cycle," he declared. "We choose our path from here." With that, they turned away from the destruction, seeking the door that led them out of the chaos. As they stepped into the fresh air, a gust of wind kissed their cheeks, a promise of new beginnings. Outside, the mansion was in ruins, a testament to everything that had happened. But it was also a blank slate, a chance to rebuild. Lila turned to Alexander, tears shining in her eyes, joy mixed with relief. "We did it!" "Yes, we did," he nodded, his own heart swelling with hope. "Together." With their mother standing proudly beside them, they took a moment, soaking in the sunlight breaking through the clouds, a sign of brighter days ahead. "Where do we go now?" Lila asked, glancing at the horizon, the endless possibilities stretching before them. "To the truth," their mother said, resolute. "We may have buried secrets to uncover, but we have each other. We'll find our way." As they walked away from the smoldering wreckage, shadows whispered behind them, but Alexander felt lighter. For the first time, they felt free. And in that freedom, they discovered something powerful, a bond forged through fire, love, and truth. The sun set slowly, painting the sky with colors of change. and as light danced over their shoulders, a sudden movement in the rubble caught Alexander's eye, a glint of metal buried beneath ash. He paused, a new, familiar energy stirring in the depths of his heart. The adventure was not over yet. All right, folks, this is the moment to show your support. You must subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Share this video right now with at least 5 friends who need to know how this ends. Don't wait another second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of keeping the fire of this story alive.